Why do you even try? You'll never be more than a nobody in this town. That's what they said. At the bus stop, in the grocery store, even at my own graduation. Every time I failed, they whispered louder. She's back again? Guess the city spit her out. I used to cry in my car, gripping the steering wheel, promising myself I'd prove them wrong. Now, years later, I drive down Main Street and see their faces. Mouths open, eyes wide, as my face beams down from every billboard in town. Funny, isn't it? The same people who called me a failure can't escape my success. And this time, I'm not the one looking away. I grew up in a town so small, everyone knew what you had for breakfast before you did. If you tripped on the sidewalk, someone's aunt would mention it at church by Sunday. My mom used to say, "Keep your head down, don't give them a reason to talk." But I was never good at blending in. At 16, I told my guidance counselor I wanted to be an artist. She smiled. "That's nice, honey, but maybe you should think about something more practical." At the diner, the regulars would ask, "Still chasing those big dreams, huh?" I'd nod, pouring their coffee, pretending their words didn't sting. My best friend, Rachel, tried to be supportive, but even she would say, "I just don't want you to get hurt. People like us don't make it out of here." I'd go home, close my bedroom door, and sketch for hours. Faces, places, billboards I'd only seen in magazines. One night, my dad knocked on my door. He sat on the edge of my bed, looking tired. "Sweetheart, I know you want more, but sometimes life is about being realistic." I wanted to scream, "Why can't anyone believe in me?" But I just nodded. "I know, Dad." After graduation, I packed my bags and left for the city. No one threw me a party. No one said, "We'll miss you." Just a few muttered, "She'll be back." The city was harder than I imagined. I worked 2 jobs, slept on a friend's couch, and sent out portfolio after portfolio. Every rejection felt like another voice from home, whispering, "Told you so." Sometimes I'd call Rachel. She'd ask, "Are you coming back for the festival?" I'd say, "Not this year, I'm still trying." One night, after another failed interview, I sat on the subway, tears streaming down my face. A stranger across from me said, "Don't let them win, you're still here, aren't you?" That was the night I decided. I wasn't going to let my story end the way they expected. I was going to make them remember my name. The city didn't care about my dreams. It chewed me up, spit me out, and barely noticed. I worked at a coffee shop by day, painted in a cramped studio apartment by night. My landlord, Mrs. Patel, would knock on my door. "You're up late again, Beta. You'll burn out." I'd smile. "Just one more sketch, I promise." Every week, I sent out my portfolio, ad agencies, galleries, even local businesses. Most never replied. Some sent polite rejections. "Thank you for your interest, but we're looking for someone with more experience." I started to wonder if everyone back home was right. One afternoon, I called Rachel. She answered on the first ring. "Hey, superstar, how's the big city?" I tried to sound upbeat. "Great, just landed a new project." It was a lie. She didn't need to know I was barely making rent. She sighed. "You know, my mom saw your old art in the yearbook. She said, 'That girl always had her head in the clouds.'" I laughed, but it stung. At work, my manager, Tom, noticed my sketches during a slow shift. He picked one up, eyebrows raised. "You did this? Why are you making lattes?" I shrugged. "Nobody wants to hire a nobody." He grinned. "You ever think about painting a mural for the shop? Something big, something that'll get people talking?" I hesitated. "What if they hate it?" He shrugged. "What if they love it?" I stayed after hours, painting the blank wall behind the counter. When I finished, Tom whistled. "You just made this place famous." Customers started coming in just to take photos. A local blogger wrote, "Best coffee, best art in the city." For the first time, people were talking about my work, and not my failures. A week later, a woman in a sharp suit came in for coffee. She stared at the mural, then at me. "You're the artist?" I nodded, nervous. She handed me her card. "I'm with Bright Sky Advertising. We're looking for fresh talent. Call me." I called that night, hands shaking. The interview was nothing like the ones before. They wanted to see my art, hear my story. The creative director, Maya, said, "We need someone who knows how to stand out, someone who's not afraid to be different." I thought of every time I'd been called weird, every time I'd been told to blend in. I said, "I can do that." They hired me on the spot. My first campaign was for a new energy drink. Bold colors, big faces, a message about never giving up. When the billboards went up, I stood on the sidewalk staring at my work towering over the city. I called Rachel, breathless. "My art is everywhere. I did it." She laughed. "I'm proud of you, but nobody here believes it's really you." I grinned. Maybe it's time they found out. A few months later, Bright Sky landed a contract with a national brand, one that wanted to launch in small towns across the country. Maya called me into her office. "We want you to be the face of this campaign. Your story, your art, your name." I blinked, stunned. "Me? On the billboards?" She smiled. "You earned it." When the campaign launched, my face was everywhere. Magazines, buses, and yes, every single billboard in my hometown. I drove back for the festival just like old times. As I pulled into town, I saw them. My old teachers, the diner regulars, even my dad, staring up at my face, larger than life. I parked, heart pounding, and walked down Main Street. People stopped and stared. Some smiled, some whispered, some just looked away. But this time I didn't. I walked into the diner, the same one where I used to pour coffee and swallow my dreams. The bell over the door jingled, and every head turned. Mrs. Carter, the owner, blinked in surprise. "Well, look who finally made it back. We thought you'd forgotten us." I smiled. Hard to forget the place that taught me how to hustle. She grinned. "You see those billboards? Folks say that's you. Is it true?" I nodded. "It's me." A hush fell over the room. Mr. Jenkins, the old math teacher, cleared his throat. "Never thought I'd see your face up there. Guess you proved us all wrong." I met his gaze, steady. "I didn't do it to prove you wrong. I did it to prove myself right." Rachel slid into the booth beside me, eyes shining. "I told everyone you'd make it. They didn't believe me." I squeezed her hand. "Thanks for never letting me give up." A group of girls from my high school days walked by, whispering. One of them, Megan, stopped at my table. She looked nervous, twisting her bracelet. "Hey, I just wanted to say I'm sorry. For everything. We were awful to you." I looked at her, remembering every cruel word, every laugh at my expense. "It hurt," I said honestly, "but I used it. Every time someone called me a failure, I worked harder." She nodded, eyes wet. "You inspired my little sister. She wants to be an artist now. She says if you can do it, maybe she can too." I smiled, the weight in my chest finally lifting. Tell her she can, and tell her not to listen to anyone who says otherwise. As I left the diner, my dad was waiting outside. He looked at me, pride and regret mixing in his eyes. "I was wrong," he said quietly. "You were always meant for more." I hugged him, tears stinging my eyes. "Thanks, Dad. I just needed you to see it too." I walked down Main Street, my face shining from every billboard, the whispers of failure finally drowned out by the truth. I had become everything they said I couldn't. And for the first time, I felt like I was finally home. The festival that weekend felt different. People who once looked through me now stopped to say hello, to ask for a photo, to tell me how proud they were. Kids pointed at the billboards and tugged their parents' sleeves. "That's her! She's from here!" I walked through the crowd, feeling lighter than I ever had. Rachel caught up to me, breathless. "Everyone's talking about you. Even Mrs. Carter wants you to sign the diner wall." I laughed. "I used to scrub that wall after closing. Now I get to leave my mark." We made our way to the main stage, where the mayor was giving a speech. He spotted me and waved me up. "Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome home our very own success story." The applause was thunderous. I took the mic, heart pounding, and looked out at the faces. Some familiar, some new, all waiting to hear what I'd say. I took a deep breath. When I left this town, I was called a dreamer, a failure, someone who'd never make it. But every no I heard here became a yes I chased out there. Every time someone doubted me, I worked harder. And every time I wanted to give up, I remembered where I came from and where I wanted to go. I paused, scanning the crowd. I'm not here to say I told you so. I'm here to say you can do it too. Don't let anyone, no matter how loud their voice, decide your worth. Only you get to do that. The crowd erupted in cheers. Rachel hugged me, whispering, "You did it. You really did it." Later, as the sun set and the festival lights flickered on, I walked past my old school. A group of kids were drawing with chalk on the sidewalk. One little girl looked up and grinned. "I want to be just like you." I knelt down, meeting her eyes. "Promise me you'll never let anyone tell you what you can't be." She nodded, her smile wide and fearless. As I walked home, the billboards glowing above me, I realized the real victory wasn't seeing my face everywhere. It was knowing I'd turned every insult, every doubt, every whispered failure into fuel for my own fire. I'd come back not to prove them wrong, but to prove to myself and to every kid who ever felt small that you can outgrow any label and you can write your own story. So, if you ever feel like the world is rooting for you to fail, remember, sometimes the sweetest revenge is simply becoming impossible to ignore. If you could show your doubters just one thing, what would it be? Your scars or your success?